Welcome back, everybody. You're looking as the Class B bracket. Coverage begins later today, 1 o'clock. Oaks and our Redeemers will start things. That second game we're going to focus on here in our next segment is Bishop Bryan will take on Hankinson. The Pirates are back at state for the first time in 18 years. 2007 was the last time Hankinson played at the State B Boys Basketball Tournament. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, how big a deal it is for southeastern North Dakota. Wahpeton is at state. You saw Oaks at state and Hankinson there as well. It's our pleasure to welcome on boys basketball head coach Carter Mauch to the show. And full disclosure, the last time I interviewed you was literally the moment that Cody got drafted. So I don't know if we can recreate that kind of energy here this morning.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet, that whole weekend that he got drafted. But yeah, it's been a little while, and we're just excited for this opportunity here we got this weekend. So.
Tell me about the excitement level. We did a story on the news yesterday. We got the video of the send off. Just this has got to be all time level, man. About what Hankinson going to state.
Yeah, it's been a while, 18 years or so. Last time we were there, I was a fifth grader, I want to say. Yeah, it was just a great day yesterday on the send off. Had a pep rally at 8:30. Then we had the fire trucks out and kind of escorted us to interstate. Had some fans over the overpasses, kind of draping signs, and for a town that doesn't go to state too often, this is a pretty big deal for us. So
to have this kind of season, Carter, was this what you expected out of this team? Was this unexpected this year?
No, this was definitely expected. Every team that knows that they've got a chance to do something special, kind of expects that and expects them to be, one of the final 8 teams. And we were fortunate enough to, be one of those final 8 teams this year. Last year, we got upset in the first round of the regional tournament to Lemoore, who ended up taking 7th last year at State B. And I just kind of attribute that this season to the foundation that the guys laid last year, the seniors last year, getting us to that regional tournament, getting us some experience. It was, just really great, really special to, have that last year and then obviously build on it going into this year. And I told the boys last year after that Lemoore game that I want you guys to remember this feeling that you're feeling right now and don't replicate that next year. Keep that feeling in the back of your mind through the off season, through the beginning of the season, and as we kind of ramp up towards tournaments. It's been pretty special so far this year.
You've lost 4 games all year long, 2 of them to Oaks, who's there with you. Just describe this year and when did you feel like, okay, we're rolling, we got a chance to do something special this year?
Yeah, it was definitely that Minnesota game when we played against Henning, Minnesota, who's ironically in
also
the state class,
yeah.
also at state for Minnesota. So they were without their stud in that game, but they were still 21-3 or 21-2. Without them, they're pretty dang good ball club. So for us to go up to Moorhead and play the way we did, it was really, really special. And that it was after that moment that I think the boys really knew that we got something here. We just got to be able to lock in and do the things that we like to do. And ultimately, we were able to have that accomplished and get ourselves to state.
You had to go to overtime in the first game of the region tournament with Edgeley. But what the nerves of that, because you got to win that game just to make sure you got a chance to go to state. How did you feel that the team handled that in that round?
Yeah, like you said, you got to win that game. There's no second chances as there is, in today's, Class B, Class A basketball, with the state qualifiers. But you got to win that first game to be able to even give yourself that opportunity. We did a good job prep going into that Monday game against Edgeley. We kind of got ourselves up to about a 10, 12-point game, and then they kind of came back, stormed back. Then we kind of, took over a little bit, and then they came back. And that fourth quarter, we were up by 10 or 12 with 4 minutes or so to go. And they ended up coming back and, bringing us to overtime. Rayshawn Earl missed a kind of mid lane type shot at the buzzer, to send us to overtime. And overtime, I just knew that, okay, if we can play our game, if we can rebound, if we can play defense, we're gonna be fine here. And we were able to do that and knock down some free throws when we needed them to. And kind of moving forward onto that, with that Edgeley game, that experience on that Monday game really helped us going into that Oaks championship game, just because it was kind of a similar situation with the 10-point lead or so. We just didn't let them crawl all the way back like Edgeley was able to do in that first round regional game. So that experience on Monday, really helped us going into the rest of the tournament.
So now you face Bishop Ryan today, and obviously they're right next door. They have a little bit of advantage. They know the Minot State Dome. What are the challenges that you're facing here today with this team?
Well, like you said, they're right across the door. They're familiar with the dome. They're familiar with Minot. It's something that they're kind of seems like they're here every other year or so. Every year, every other year. But so they have that experience. We've got to be able to do some things to be able to combat that and ultimately give ourselves a shot to knock this team off. But as far as their team goes, it starts in the middle with Ramsey Walls, 6'7", 6'8" post player. Going to play ball, here at Minot
Yeah.
State. He's a stud. He's a real good ball player down low, and it goes more than just him. They've got Jet Lundeen, who's playing football at Minot State. They've got all sorts of shooters. They got a young freshman who comes off the bench who's pretty dang good player for his age. It's going to be a challenge, but I think we boys got to just come in and expect that there's going to be adversity, and when adversity hits, how do we combat that? How do we overcome that?
A player like Rayshawn Earl in a tournament like this, how special does he need to be for you guys to advance?
Yeah, he's going to have to be special, but he also needs to know that we've gotten here because of other guys too.
Yeah.
He's done teams have to be able to shut him down, and when they do, he doesn't really ever fall to the ground, or he doesn't really ever stoop down to that level. He impacts the game in other ways, distributing the ball. He's going to demand double team, so he does a good job of finding open guys. Whether it's Matthew Blado knocking down a couple 3-pointers, or Andrew Jean, a post player down low. He does a good job at impacting the game in other ways than just scoring. So we're going to need him. We're going to need everybody here on this state tournament run.
And you mentioned the size they have. How do you combat? Is there a way to combat that?
There's really not a way to replicate it in practice.
Yeah.
We've done our best to do what we can. But it's just going to be a challenge for us, and we're going to have to take this challenge as it goes. And I think we've got a pretty good game plan. So hopefully things turn out for us.
You mentioned the strength of schedule card you guys played. I mean, Henning's playing later today in the Class A in Minnesota. Oaks is literally playing right before you. Wapaton's playing at the same time you guys are playing. How much has that helped you, do you think, for your battle test? You played some really good opponents this year.
Yeah, we scheduled our schedule this year, kind of for that reason. You want to play your best basketball at the end of the season, and how else do you play your best basketball? Well, you play against challenging teams that you can really challenge yourself. You're not going to learn a whole lot from a 20 or 30-point game. You learn stuff. You learn things in tight basketball games against classes that teams that are in a class above you, or other quality teams. In Minnesota, like a Henning, and we also played Davies JV at the Wapaton Bonanza a few weeks ago too. So, and I mean, and we saw what Davies JV, Davies varsity made it to the state championship game. So, it was good. It was real good for our boys to kind of get that challenge and kind of that tournament like adversity that was going to hit us and is going to continue to hit us.
I mentioned the last time we talked was you literally just got the job. You were going to take over. Has this gone according to plan? Like when you took over, like this, are you ahead of schedule from where you're at right now?
When I did take over that prior year, I was the assistant, and we made it to the regional third round. We beat Oak Grove in that regional first round, or I guess second round game after the play-in. We kind of gave ourselves some experience there, and knew going into the next year or two that we were going to have a pretty solid squad. Last year, like I said, I felt like we were pretty ahead of schedule last year, and then got upset by Lemoore. And like I said earlier, the boys just wanted to be better than that, wanted to get to this stage and compete at the highest level of Class B basketball that there is. And it's been good. It's been a good experience, and we're just excited.
Now, I have to ask here because this summer is a big one for the fam, because I believe Cody is getting married. What are the plans like that been like?
Yeah, he's actually back. He'll be here this weekend. He flew into Minot last night, so he'll be here. So we're excited for that and excited to see him. But yeah, it's a pretty big summer. And then actually, my wife and I are having our first child.
There
in
you
May,
go.
so
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. So we've got that, at the beginning of May, and then Cody's wedding mid-June, and kind of like the last few summers have. It's been hectic, but it's a fun hectic.
Because you
So
got married last year, correct?
I did,
Yeah.
yep, last July.
Because I saw
Yep.
you guys at his camp, which I was talking with Jason Moneylaws about that. That was amazing. That I don't even know if he fully realized that. I mean, there were people lined up 2 hours, maybe even more than that, before they
Hmm.
got started that day.
Yeah, that was a fun one. That's real good experience for the kids. Anybody that knows Cody knows that he's that kind of guy. He's going to try to take pictures with everybody he can. He's not going to shoo them away. So that was just a great experience to see him in that kind of a role. You know, teaching young kids and just kind of being their leader and their role model.
How have the tickets gotten better for you to go to a football game now? You got pretty good seats now, or what? How's that
Uh,
going?
I actually only was able to make it to 2 games last year. My dad went to most of the games, um, but no, it's fun. Anytime we can get down to Tampa or I don't know, at an away stadium, it's always neat to go and experience that. And it's an experience that not many people get to do. And we're just fortunate enough to be able to have that. So
He's not going to work his way down to the bench today, is he?
I don't, I don't know if he would do that, but I do know when his NFL career is up, he does want to get into some coaching. So,
Well, as we remember during the combine, he can hoop. He could hoop.
oh
Like
yeah,
he was
yeah,
pretty good on
yes,
the basketball court, right?
yeah. He was, I think, his senior year, he was a second team All State
Yeah.
basketball player, averaged 18 points, 15 rebounds, or something. So yeah, he can hoop, and he can still hoop too. He can still throw
Okay.
down
Okay. So when's the last
for
time you guys played one-on-one? Has it been a little bit? When's the
uh,
last time you
it,
guys
it
played?
it's been a little while. Yeah, it's been a little while. It's fun. It's challenging for me. I was a post player myself, but he's a little bit different brand of a post player, big, physical, strong guy. So yeah, that'd be something that we'd have to come back and do.
Last thing before I let you go, tell me your emotions going now as coach when you guys get ready to go out on the floor later today. What's that going to be like for you?
Yeah, it's going to be something that I just don't know until we go through that experience. As a town, as a team that hasn't gone in 18 years, it's going to be new. We got some good words of advice by Mike Cochler, the assistant coach, or sorry, the previous coach, and then also some words of wisdom from some of the guys that played on that 2017, like Jamie Mauch.
Nice.
Um, so it was good to hear that, good to hear their experiences, and just kind of some well wishes, from them, for us. And we're excited. We're just excited to get to the dome here in about an hour or so and have a shoot around and just kind of soak everything in, then. And then once we get back to the hotel, we can really start focusing our minds on, okay, we're here on a business trip this weekend. We're not here just for the experience. We're here to win basketball games.
It's great to see you, bud. Thanks so much for the time on a game day. Good luck later today. All right. Be well.
Yeah, thanks, Dom. I appreciate it a bunch.
Carter Mauch, head coach of the Hankinson boys. They're coming up later today on WDAY against Bishop Ryan. That's the second game of 4 at the Minot State Dome. How about that? The big man is going to be there. He can't really blend in anywhere, so I would imagine our cameras may catch him somewhere inside the dome today. Why would I not imagine that he, of course, would be at the state basketball tournament if his high school was there? There's no surprise on that. We'll break. We come back. We'll wrap up our first hour. Big second hour on tap. We roll on one of the great sports days of the year. We're back on Hot Mic right after this.